Hi, I'm Sarah from jacksonsjob.com, and today I'm going to share with you how to make shortbread. Shortbread is a very simple recipe. It's all about ratios. 1 part sugar, 2 parts fat, and 3 parts flour. Shortbread is one of those recipes everyone should know. Preheat your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 150 degrees Celsius. Here are the ingredients, but don't worry, I've included a link below as usual. I start out with softened butter because I'm making this by hand. If I was using a food processor, I wouldn't worry about softening the butter and I would just use it cold. I actually prefer it that way, but I figured a lot of people don't have access to a food processor, so for this recipe I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. You start out with 1 cup of butter, or 226 grams. You add in half a cup of sugar, or 113 grams. I put in a pinch of salt, about 2.5 grams, and then I will add in some vanilla, about a teaspoon or 5 milliliters. I do want to point out the salt and vanilla is completely optional. The original recipe only requires 3 ingredients. I just like to put it in to give it a little bit of flavor because I'm using this as a cookie and not a base. You just begin mixing it until it comes together pretty nicely. It'll end up looking like a nice thick paste. It's not going to be creamed as if you were making a cake. This is more like making cookies. After all, the shortbread is the original cookie. It'll look like this. Once you get to this stage, you pour in 2 1/4 cups or 339 grams of flour, and then you're going to mix it until it just starts to come together. You do not want to overmix this as you don't want it tough. You want a really nice tender crumb that melts in your mouth when you bite into it. You'll see what it looks like at the end, and you'll really appreciate it when you have one of these. Once you learn how to make shortbread, you can make any cookie, as this is the foundation for chocolate chip, sugar cookies, snickerdoodles, anything you can imagine. It's always about the ratio of fat to flour to sugar. So try experimenting a bit. Put in a couple eggs, see what happens. Next time put in some eggs and put in some chocolate chips. Or for instance, instead of using butter, try some oil. Or try margarine. See what happens. I really like shortbread because you can experiment and learn how to bake. It's also a great recipe to teach you about your oven and your hot spots, because even a convection oven is going to have a hot spot. Trust me on this. And what's wonderful is you get to eat these cookies and they are so simple, yet they are so wonderful. Shortbread to this day is my favorite thing to eat sweet-wise. If you noticed, I moved over to just my hands. I'm just rubbing in the last bits of butter because the spatula was starting to get in my way. When I do make this by hand, I often use my hands and not even a spoon, but it can get messy as you see. And once it looks like breadcrumbs, you want to put it into your pan, and I have lined a 9 by 13 or a 13 by 23 centimeter pan with aluminum foil and greased it. You can also use parchment paper, but it does help to line it because it will come out a lot easier. And you just try to make it into an even layer, and once you get it out into an even layer, you just begin to press down. Now, here is where making it with warm butter is not as friendly as making it with cold butter. The butter will begin to stick to you as it melts. If this happens, just pop it in the fridge for about 20 minutes and then bring it back out and then start pressing it into the pan, because you don't want the butter to overly melt, as it will make a tough, greasy cookie. And just press down really firmly. Once I get this done, I always chill it at least 20 to 30 minutes. A lot of times I make this the night before and I chill it overnight. The longer you chill it, the less likely it is to puff up and to have cracks. You want to bake this for 30 to 35 minutes or until it comes out lightly golden brown around the edges. You do not want this dark brown like you will see in other recipes that tell you to bake it at 350. If you are cutting this into bars, make sure that you do it while it's still slightly warm so it doesn't shatter, since the crumb is so tender on this cookie. Let it cool completely before you eat it. It tastes better the next day. There are more recipes at jacksonsjob.com, but be sure to subscribe and like for future recipes on this channel. Thanks and have a good day.